You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Hey, I'm Ray Parker. I played Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace and Solo, A Star Wars Story, and G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes, and you're listening to Disney Universe Podcast.
We would be honored if you would join us.
To infinity and beyond!
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing. That was all started by a mouse.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 144 of the Disney Universe Podcast. This is your ultimate Disney adult podcast run by Disney adults, and I'm going to not apologize for that noise in the background. We are recording live on location from Alex's place of business, Burning Barrel Brewing Company in Rancho Cordova. Of course, I'm here with Alex. What's up, buddy?
Hey, where beer and Disney meet.
Yes, where two fandoms collide.
It's always a blast recording on location in person. We do this behind a computer screen so often. So good to get together and hang out and obviously have friends with us as well.
Yeah. And like I said, we normally do this on our StreamYard, but we're getting ready to record live from MouseCon, so why not practice here? But as Alex mentioned, we got a special guest and new friend. Ryan's not with us tonight because he's not very savvy, which none of us are right now, with the awesome Lorcana game from Ravensburg. That's a trading card game that Disney's doing. So we brought in a new friend and guest, Rebekah, who runs the Lorcana Illuminary.
Yes, hello.
Page.
So glad to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so happy. Alex actually shared your page with me as the launch was coming out, and then finding out that you're local in our backyard, it makes it that much easier. So we instantly wanted to reach out to you, and because you guys can't see this because we're on audio, but we got our cards here. Me and Alex want to learn how to play, and we're here with an expert. So thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us.
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's like such a fun game. I'm really excited for you guys to start jumping in and playing.
Yeah, and one thing I really want to get to, too, because we both watch videos on YouTube and still very confused at times, but then we see your post, and you're like, oh, my kids are playing, and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, but before we get to gameplay, our favorite cards, and all the questions, and your background, let's do a little bit of mousekeeping. As you guys know, we are now a part of the Walt's Apartment podcast family, so all our shows are streamed there. We'll be recording a brand new Tiki Cast very soon with our good friends from Geeky Tiki, so I look forward to that coming up real soon. But we couldn't do this without our good friends, DU Crew. Alex, can you tell them about the crew?
Most definitely. I'm going to tell you about the crew. Our good friends, Monique, both of our Jens. We couldn't do it without either of them. Florida Jen, Superfan Jen, our buddy Sasquatch, Ahsoka's biggest fan, John. We've even got Wedge Antilles as part of the fold now. Sean, Big Papa Disney, Tyler, and our almost local buddy Alfredo. I hope we're going to see you over at MouseCon, Alfredo. That is the DU crew. If you want to be part of the crew too, go visit us over at patreon.com/DU crew. There's 2 tiers for just a couple bucks a month. You can get awesome perks like these folks who will shortly be receiving the brand new Disney Universe Podcast Hatbox Goat design t-shirt from our Summer of Live. It was our DU crew raising drive, and we're up to 9. We're almost in double digits. You could be the 10th. So go over to patreon.com/DU crew and join us and be part of the crew.
Yes, absolutely. And we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you for joining, and check that out. Like I said, if you want to listen to any of our old shows, you can find those at the Disney Universe podcast feed on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. But all future shows and current shows or on the Walt's Apartment podcast feed, but you can find us on YouTube, where we're doing a lot of new videos. I just uploaded a Residents of Batu on there, so check that out at the DU TV on YouTube. And of course, we'd like to thank our good friends at Neverland Trading. I kind of threw that out because I forgot, but probably too late to get your Halloween shirts in, as Halloween is next week, but right around the corner is Christmas, so check that out, and you'll get a nice little discount. All you got to do is type in DVERSE at the promo code at the end. That's DVERSE, and get you something nice for the holidays. So, I guess before we get to our main topic of Lorcana, last time you and pretty much everybody but me had a trip report, but now
You had a short trip.
I had a short trip report, but I have a
to
little
surprise Papa Disney.
Yes, and hang out with a girlfriend too, but but definitely for Papa Disney, Sean. So that was a good time. But I just came back last week, and I'm only bringing up a few things because a lot of when you go to Disneyland, you do a lot of repeat stuff, which is nothing wrong with that. But I did go to Goofy's Kitchen for the first time. Did the Halloween breakfast thing, and that was a lot of fun. I know you and Sean had not the greatest experience, especially with the characters, but the characters were on point.
I had a great experience with all the characters except for one.
Chip.
I'm talking to you, Chip. Your brother Dale, he's supposed to be the one that's cutting up and messing around, but it was you who stuck your finger in my syrup and got it on my phone. I will never forget that, Chip. I'll see you soon.
But Chip was on his best behavior at this time, but no, I thought it was pretty good. I still think was a little pricey for what it is. They added.
You went for dinner, right?
We went for breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast is cheaper than dinner too.
Yeah, but adding the extra price just for the costumes was a little like
Oh, it was more expensive for the Halloween version?
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to see characters, especially if you got kids, I think it's a great. I couldn't call it a value, but time is money, especially at the Disney parks. So if you can see 5 characters while you're eating breakfast, that's saving you at least an hour worth of lines you're going to have to wait in the park. And you get so much more attention from them in there as well.
Yeah, great interaction.
But I'd say above all, I was stoked to see Goofy's 2022 Halloween costume, the spooky tree.
Yeah.
I don't know if she took the picture, but he had like an apple hanging from it, and I was kind of doing like a reverse Bob for apples thing. She's like, I know what you're doing, and I was like, I didn't know that it would be a problem. I'm sorry.
Nice.
I'm not actually going to bite Goofy.
Exactly. Rebecca, have you been to Goofy's Kitchen at all?
I have not been there,
okay.
actually. No.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Like I said, as many times as I've been going, it was my first time, so it was nice to finally get out there, but I can see going there again.
Go back for the peanut butter and jelly pizza.
I will try that. I did have pozole, though, which was great for breakfast.
Nice.
So, but the highlight of the trip was the Happy Haunts tour that they did, which was like everything at Disney right now, really connected to the 100th anniversary of Disney. So they tied in so many old stories, not just from Disneyland, but like they took us into the cinema and they told us about the history of Walt Disney movies and TV shows, and with the scary elements and everything, and Big Thunder Mountain. We went in, but the highlight for me was the photo op with 2 of the 3 hitchhiking ghosts, Ezra and Gus.
Where was Phineas?
He's the diva out of the group, so. But it was cool because they had it in like a black-lit room, and you're able to take your pictures. And they came out great, gave you props and everything. So it was just cool, like being.
Did they do a PhotoPass photographer for the pictures, or just your own?
Just your own, but they had the cast member passing out, doing the photos. So they came out really good, especially with the black light. But that was really cool. We got a little Mickey Bat cookie for trick-or-treating near the Halloween tree.
Did you have to trick-or-treat for it?
Oh, we had everybody yelled trick-or-treat in the middle of Frontierland, so that was pretty cool. We weren't able to ride Haunted Mansion Holiday because it's so packed, but we did get a VIP to Pirates of the Caribbean, which is always solid.
Wait, so because it was so packed, or was it down?
It was just not part of it, I guess. Which is kind of weird, but but then we got a button with your name on it, then the pin and stuff. So it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Again, it's my first Disney trip or Disney tour, and so I've always wanted to do like the Walt's Footsteps tour, but this was a great one. if you're a seasoned Disneyland visitor, if you ever have a chance to do one of these tours, definitely take the chance and do it. I know you did the one in Florida.
Well, no, I actually did the first year they did the Happiest Haunts tour.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I was really interested to hear about how it was with your experience. The year I did it, it was amazing. They actually made it a theatric experience.
Oh, nice.
Where when you started the tour, it also went across both parks. So we did Tower of Terror, we did Haunted Mansion. But the coolest part of it is you began the tour with what seemed to be an overzealous ghost hunting enthusiast tour guide.
Oh, nice.
Who was going to tour you around through the spots of the Disneyland Resort with paranormal activity. And you would get on one ride. So like when we got on Tower of Terror, he left us at the door. And then when our ride got off, there was another person there, and it was a woman. She was, kind of soft-spoken, and, obviously you could probably put together where this is going. But when she was taking us around, she would tell us the history of Halloween itself and different things around the resort. And come to the end of the tour, at one point we go into Zocalo Park over by Rancho del Zocalo, and they have the offerenda there, and you see a picture of the female tour guide. And then at the very end, when we're riding Haunted Mansion, they had her standing right before the doom buggies start to go up the first lift hill to kind of give you that surprise. She was actually a ghost the whole time, because you never got the two tour guides at the same time. So every time the other tour guide would come back, have you guys seen any ghosts?
That's awesome.
Like, no, I don't know. But yes, that tour, if I ever if Disney's listening, or if I get a chance to fill out a We're Listening, that was the best tour experience. And again, the tour at Walt Disney World, the Keys to the Kingdom, was great. And I would also love to do a walk in Walt's footsteps. I also, with my friend Whitney, shout out Whitney, your birthday's coming up here in a week. We did the Cultivating the Magic, which is the horticulture tour around the Disneyland Resort. I don't know if that is something they still offer, but learned a lot of interesting things about the Dominguez tree. I learned that fact prior to Imagineering's story about how they turned the orange trees upside down in the Jungle Cruise so that they would look kind of like exotic tropical trees that you'd find along a river. I learned about the Disneyland Rose and things like that. If you have a chance and a little extra money to spend on your next vacation, definitely look into a guided tour at the Disneyland Resort. They pull out, or Walt Disney World Resort. They pull out all the stops. You're going to get some sort of advantage, whether it's a reserve viewing for a show or kind of skipping the line for some of the rides, or just knowledge that you wouldn't have been privy to otherwise.
Yeah.
Definitely we'll be looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was with Courtney Kelly of Neverland Clubhouse, had a great time, and like you said, it's definitely worth, and can't wait to do it again. So check out the pictures, too. I posted a few pictures on our Instagram of the tour, so what I could have taken.
Since we are talking about Disneyland, before we jump into Lorcana, when was the last time you were at one of the parks, Rebekah?
I was at Disneyland just in August, actually.
Okay, that was like right when I was there.
Yeah.
Not this last trip, but previous.
My sister and I went down specifically just to see Rogers the Musical.
Yes.
It was so good.
That was actually kind of the main, and that was one of the trips between August and late September. As I was saying, we went like not even 6 weeks ago, yet we were able to see things on that trip that we couldn't see on this trip. Rogers the Musical and Magic Journeys, the fireworks show.
The fireworks, we watched that too before it closed.
And then in, of course, Halloween time, there were new things that I wouldn't have been able to do in August. So, obviously forever selling commercials for Disneyland.
Yes.
But there's always something new to experience.
Yeah, I went the weekend before Rogers closed, but the day I was there, it was shut down for the day for some odd reason.
Yeah.
So.
It was great. I hope they bring it back.
I think they will. It's been too popular.
It was very popular. And I understand, because of holidays and stuff, maybe they closed it.
Yeah.
But we'll see in the new year.
Yeah, I have no idea why you'd go to that effort just to show something for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Have the soundtrack is on Spotify, right?
I saw when they dropped that.
So
I know, at least through our Walt's apartment team, it's very divided on Rogers the Musical. But I know our friends at Neverland Clubhouse and Skywalking Through Neverland, did go to Oogie Boogie Bash as the
fun.
Starkettes.
Oh,
It was
that's
a very
amazing.
good
Yeah.
costume.
That's great.
So shout out to them for that. And I love the music. The music was awesome.
Yeah, they did a great job.
The only thing I could think is they were trying it out for a cruise ship. Potentially, because I know all the cruise
sure.
ships do have the theater.
Yeah.
And while I believe they've already announced what is the show, The Treasure, is that the next one? And then they just recently at Destination D announced the ship that's going to be exclusively out of the Japan, China area. And I believe that was like a ship that Disney kind of purchased and is in the process of Disneyfying it. So who knows? It could be something that they'll have over there. But we like it here. I enjoy it. I'm also all for having more different musicals. Like if we kind of had a rotating calendar of musicals, the way we have Festival of the Holidays, Food and Wine Festival, things like that.
And the Hyperion is just fun to like sit in there and watch something.
Especially on a hot day.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, with Avengers Campus right there,
It makes
it's
total
too
sense.
big of a space to not be used.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to do something with it, do something else with it. But as long as it's there, use it.
And not only is it on Spotify and Apple Music, but it's even up for Grammy consideration.
Yes, it is.
Which
I
is
saw
pretty
that.
big for a theme
That's
park
pretty-
musical. So.
That's huge. Yes.
So I'd be surprised if it didn't come back after the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Frozen and Aladdin didn't really, but I don't know that they had much. They had a little, but not much original music. in
It
either
wasn't.
of those.
Yeah. It wasn't original.
Aladdin had an original song by Jasmine. And I don't think Frozen.
It's not the same one that was in the movie, was it?
No. But yeah, and one more thing about the haunted tours. We also got a VIP viewing for Halloween Screams,
for the
a fireworks show,
Yeah,
which was awesome. I hadn't seen it in like over 10 years, and so I was really excited for the new projections. I had my camera, I recorded and everything.
Did you record the whole thing?
I recorded the whole thing.
I can't wait to see that over at patreon.com/DUcrew.
However, the projector wasn't working on the castle, so it starts off, we see Jack in the low globe thing. It was the top of his face, and that was it. Then throughout...
He was just hiding behind the fence like Wilson on Home Improvement.
So that's pretty much what he looked like. And then after that, they just quit the projection, and even on the projections on the castle, they still had the projections on the Matterhorn and Main Street. But the music, the fireworks is still great. So I'm still going to post it because I enjoyed it. But I was just bummed because I was really excited for the new projection since when I saw it first time, it was just stencil projections, not the digital ones. But yeah, but that was my trip. So.
You said projections, and I just have to drop a shout out to the We Don't Talk About Bruno projections back by It's a Small World. I know I said this on the last episode, but we were literally drawn to it by the bass on the speakers in that parade corridor. I don't feel like they have that kind of sound in the rest of the park, but I thought there was a party going on, and it's just like 6 foot rats on, and we were just all dancing. I had just got my lightsaber. It was a blast. It was a blast.
Well, it's that sound how it tunnels then opens. So.
Doom, doom.
Well, right on. Well, yeah, like I said, that was. Let us know if you've been on any tours you'd like to go on. If you have an idea for a cool tour, that'd be a sweet. Let us know. But we're like I said, we're really excited to talk to Rebekah about Lorcana and everything. But before we get to that, just give us your, if you don't mind, kind of like your Disney background,
My Disney
your
background.
fandom.
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern California, so we went to Disneyland all the time growing up. So I've always been a huge Disneyland fan and Disney fan. I used to do theater stuff, so I just like sing all the songs. You know, I'm in love with all the Disney music. And then as a teenager, I got into playing Magic: The Gathering, which is another hugely popular trading card game. And so when I heard that Disney was doing a trading card game, I was like, I'm in. Like, you don't need to say more, you know? So, so we've, even being up here in Sacramento area, we still try to get down to the parks when we can. And, you know, of course, taking our kids and everything. So I do have 2 kids who are also playing Lorcana, which I know we'll talk about too. But yeah, I love Disney, and I love this game, and in the parks and everything. So yeah.
Favorite character?
Ariel, you know, from The Little Mermaid. That's who I grew up with. That's who I love, and she has some great songs, you know.
Favorite ride?
Ooh, Space Mountain.
Favorite snack or meal at the parks?
You know, I can't decide. There's so many.
Right answer.
I know. I can't.
That's
I
how
can't
you
pick.
ask me character. I can't pick one.
Yeah. No snacks. There's too many good ones. So I mean, the Mickey beignets are some good ones. I like to always get the beignets and the mint julep. They have to go together.
It's like I tell people when they're ordering beer here at Burning Barrel, there are no wrong answers on the board behind me.
Yes.
And tasting only makes it harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you also, if you don't mind me kind of plugging this, but you also do another Instagram Disney page with your sister?
With my sister, yeah. So my sister is like triple the Disney fan that I am. So she and her family, they're at the parks all the time. They're pass holders, Disney magic key holders. And so she wanted to start an Instagram account just to share about her time in the parks and tips for going around the parks. So it's called Disney Distracted Duo. And we kind of run it together really casually, but we love sharing things about the parks. And she also does a lot of like travel hacking too. So sometimes she'll drop some like travel hacking tips in there as well to get to Disney, for less. So yeah, she and I have a lot of fun doing all the Disney things together.
Is she closer to the parks?
She is up here too,
Okay.
so we're like 15 minutes from each other. But yeah,
Either y'all going to go to the Jungle Bird for the Haunted Mansion pop-up next weekend?
Oh, is that happening?
Yeah.
Oh, we were not planning on it, but now we might need to.
Yeah,
we went to
doing,
the summer pop-up.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a
Disneyland
lot
pop-up
of fun.
they do every year around Disneyland's
Haunted
birthday.
Mansion. I didn't know that.
I forget what it's called, the Haunted Bird or
something like that.
Haunted Bird.
I was drawn in, and I have not had confirmation yet, but the art on the Instagram post is the stretching portraits from the Haunted Mansion, but it's all parrots, all jungle
fun.
birds.
Oh, that's really
so I'm
fun.
really hoping they're going to have a Mai Tai glass with that on it.
That would be cool.
It's called the Doom Birdie Bash.
Doom Birdie Bash.
Birdie Bash. Amazing. That's fun.
If anyone listening to this, I believe this will probably be coming out just as it begins, but it's running from Friday the 27th of October through Halloween night. So if you're local in Sacramento, or if you're not and you just want to come out, let us know. We'll come have a drink with you.
Yes.
Reservations are accepted and encouraged, but you can always walk up for the bar. If you are trying to walk up, I recommend trying to get there when they open at 4 o'clock.
Rope drop.
That's the best way to do it.
Pretty much.
Or if you're a night owl, show up at the witching hour of midnight, just like you're jumping in before they're closing the park, so you can get that last ride on the mansion. It's usually a good time to get in without a reservation.
Because you guys are going on Saturday night,
We're
right?
going Saturday
and
the
then I'm going
28th.
Sunday.
Oh, fun.
Well, right on. Well, Lorcana.
Lorcana.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Lorcana from Ravensburg, not Ravensburger.
Yes.
I know that's they get really iffy about that, but
Yeah, that's why they didn't send us cards. 'Cause we
probably
said their name wrong.
I said it
guess.
wrong. My bad. I've been trying to contact them since D23. Anyways,
Any game, Ravensburger. Any game, we'll take it.
yes. When did you first hear about this, or what drew? Well, you already told us a little bit, but
Yeah, I mean, so I had kind of heard a little bit about it, a teeny tiny bit from D23, like in passing, that there was a game. I didn't know it was a trading card game. I just heard that it was a game from Ravensburger, and so I didn't really pay attention to it. And so it was. It wasn't until August when the big release came out. Mid-August was when it dropped in local game stores, and I started seeing it everywhere, and I was like, wait, it's a trading card game? Stop. I'm in now. So I was on Shop Disney at midnight on September 1st, and did the whole thing and was able to get my hands on a few starter decks. So that's how I was able to luckily get cards. But they went so fast on Shop Disney. I mean, it was crazy, and Target everywhere. It was gone so fast. So I was really lucky to get my hands on some cards so that we could start playing.
Yeah. And I think we were here at release, and we were on Shop Disney, and they were available, but by the time I went to checkout, they were gone.
They were gone, yes. Oh, you had to be real fast.
Yeah.
Having flashbacks to my experience trying to buy Oogie Boogie Bash tickets.
That's what I told my sister. We were talking about it. We're like, this is like just like trying to get those special event tickets for Disney or whatever. You have to just go click, 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 click. Your virtual queue.
Was it a State Farm commercial with the guy with the fishing pole with $1 on it? You almost got it.
Almost.
Got to be faster than that.
And leading up to the release, I know the hype just kept growing and growing. So did you start your page before, or
I started it after, so it was the beginning of September. And what happened was I wanted to get plugged in and connected with community, right? With the people who are playing. And so I went onto Facebook because I'm like, surely somebody's doing something, and what was interesting was I saw a lot of negativity actually in on Facebook, which, you know, it's Facebook, so not surprising. But I was like, wow. And there was a lot of people who are trading card game veterans, people who are playing Pokemon and Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And all those other things that were just like hounding on all the new players, and people who are Disney fans and families, kids who have questions, and they were just getting pounded. I'm like, why are we not being just like welcoming to everyone? And so I kind of was like, maybe I'll just like go create a space to welcome in and include all these like new players, casual players, people who are just getting into it, who aren't worried about, you know, going to like these huge competitive events and everything, but just want to play and have fun. And so that's why I started my account, was to create, you know, a fun, welcoming space for the casual player just getting into it.
Yeah, right on.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
As someone who is exactly that, you know. I've had friends who are into Magic. I always say, I remember when Magic cards first came out. I remember getting them at the card shop and having my deck. And then I probably lost interest for a mix of things like, you know, sports activities, television, whatever. But to see that it's still around is amazing. And I think with Lorcana, it's really cool that, you know, for people like us who are huge Disney fans, we have this kind of gateway into this whole new way to experience the characters and stories that we love. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed, and I think we've all noticed, it's gone.
It is.
There is no more cards to be found. I know we're all in a group, the Sacramento Lorcana Players group, and within that there is a chat called The Hunt. Mm-hmm. And I think Joey made a joke earlier, it should be called what? Like the womp womp. The womp womp womp. Because everything is just people talking about where they don't have cards.
Yeah.
So to that end, how have you found it, I guess, with your leagues and places that you've been? Obviously those people have cards. Are the events, are they like, do they even still have like packs to give away as prizes, or like how would one try and get someone else into the game at this point?
Right now it's really hard. I think, you know, obviously there's a huge demand, short supply. I think what Ravensburger didn't count on, or maybe they did and they just underestimated it, was you have all the TCG people real excited about it, and all the Disney people real excited about it, and they were maybe counting on maybe just one of these groups will be excited, but everybody was, and so the hype train moved real fast. And so right now the league that I go to, so it's at Hobby Quest in Elk Grove, and they run a really great league. They are doing the official organized play with Lorcana, so they were given an organized play pack where they have like promo cards to hand out as prizes each week, and they do some raffles and everything. But they aren't, and I don't think anyone in Sacramento area that I know of is handing out like booster packs as part of league play, just because they sold it all, you know. I know I have heard the other stores, you know, across the states are able to hand out cards as participation or to the winners or whatever, which I think is super great that stores are able to do that. And of course, every region is just going to be different in the demand and everything. So it's like Sacramento is just a desert when it comes to product. It's nowhere.
The West Coast.
When they started giving out boosters, I'm sure they probably didn't expect it to come to this point where they would be so scarce. And I know now, you know, sitting where we are here towards the end of October, we're about 3 to 4 weeks away from the release of the Rise of the Floodborn, which I believe it's not necessarily the next chapter. I don't know how we would describe. Is this a second set?
It's the second set, So it's the second set, Rise of the Floodborns. So that's coming out on November 17th at local game stores, so like your hobby shops and everything. And then December 1st, it will be at your big box stores, Target and Shop Disney and everything, which I think they haven't confirmed like specifically, but Ravensburger said it was going to be holidays, quote, air quote, holidays, when the second reprint of the first chapter was also going to be coming. So my guess is that it's not confirmed, but that it's probably coming together. That we'll see Rise of the Floodborn plus a whole nother second wave of printing.
Yeah, I heard November.
Yeah,
but
November.
I mean, quote unquote.
quote unquote. I know. We'll see. It's like we'll just see what we get in the store. But that's going to be your best bet to get new players in. Is right now there's just nothing, and everything that is out there is like, people are charging a lot more than retail, and so just wait a few more weeks. Go to your hobby shops and see what you can get.
It's just weird because as somebody that wants to play, someone that is a Disney fan and loves the card art and everything.
Oh, the art is so good.
Hearing about so many people that are just buying them up and just throwing them in their attics.
Oh, really?
Just
man.
just waiting to cash in on it later.
Yeah, there
Which
are some
is
people
wild.
doing that. Yeah.
Because if anyone knows Disney, they know that if something is popular, they're getting right back to the press and making more of it. That's why we see so many of these things like the Apple mugs at the parks and popcorn buckets. They may run out for a minute, but trust, there's another shipment on the way, and whatever you think it's valued at on eBay now is not going to be the case in a month, a year, 5 years.
And Ravensburger has said, so with Magic the Gathering, when that came out in the early 90s, there was like the alpha set, right? The very first set, and that set now is worth like tons of money, and it's worth a lot because it has like the copyright date on it, the separate marker or whatever that designates it as the alpha set or the beta set, but
excuse me while I go look and see if I have those Magic cards from 30 years ago.
Okay, I mean, I have some from 30 years ago. I wish that some of them were valuable, but it doesn't hurt to go check. I mean, you got to go check. But Ravensburger said they're not doing that with Lorcana, that when they do the next printing of the first chapter, there's nothing that's going to differentiate it from like a second printing, So more product that gets out there, it's not like, well, I got it in the August in the first wave that it was worth more. It's
and that's as it should be. They're
as it
trying
should be.
to build the game
the
and
game.
the community,
exactly.
not the pockets of the resellers.
Exactly.
But it's kind of weird that they didn't anticipate the rush when, like, I before we were recording, and I mentioned it numerous times, I was at the Lorcana booth at D23 all day, every day, had a line.
Yeah.
They were giving one of these cards out per person. Not per day, but per person. So I was lucky enough to get an extra one because I was trying to score an interview because we were talking about building it up throughout the year. And the lady that I got her business card, she didn't get back to me. It's okay. I don't mind. But she's like, here, this is my last one. So that's how I got my extra card. But,
oh, sweet.
But like I said, people were eating it up. The sets that they were selling, the 6-card set with like Robin Hood, Captain Hook, they had a very limited amounts of those per day. I think like 30 to 40, and those sold out in minutes. And then we finding out the prices of those cards, when the thing got said. So then the big convention that happened, Gen Con,
that was madness.
Yeah, so I mean, you would thought that like, ooh, yeah, let's get a kick on it before we can. But
and I guess my guess is that the second set, Rise of the Floodborns, is also going to be similarly scarce to get product because it was probably already printed, a while ago, and so it probably won't be until the third or even the fourth set when they start getting production up that we'll see product become more available. But they've said that they're going to be on a 4 times a year schedule, so every quarter there will be a new set that gets released, and who knows how many reprintings they'll do. I mean, they won't do it forever, but they're going to reprint.
And I guess for somebody that's listening that has seen the craziness of Lorcana and heard my babbling and Alex is like, oh, this is what we did, that don't have an idea with it, can you kind of give a little example of exactly if there's the storyline, gameplay?
So this is something fun too because it's Disney, right? So there is a story which is really fun, and you can go deep dive on the internet into this the lore of Lorcana, which is really fun. Lorcana.
I gotta do like House Buddy Lorcana, so I remember how to say it properly.
So there is the world of Lorcana, and it was created many moons ago, and there's the Great Illuminary Illuminary, which is where I got the name for my account from. And there's magical ink, which is combined with the magic from the story stars that creates these glimmers of Disney characters and items and actions. And so the glimmers are what you play with in the card game, and you are an Illumineer. Illumineers are the ones who wield the magical ink. And there's 6 magical ink colors, and you play with a 60-card deck, and you can only have 2 inks in a deck. And you play against an opponent or opponents. You can play multiplayer, which is really fun. And you cast your glimmers, and you have challenges against the opponents, and you're racing to quest for lore and points, so to speak. And the first 20 is the winner. So you go back and forth with your turns with the play, and you play characters, and you can get your Mickey out there, or your Simba, your Lilo, and it's all these characters from all across Disney animation that are, like you mentioned, the art is just crazy beautiful. Yeah. It's they've done such a good job, and of course different strengths and of characters, and nobody gets attacked, nobody gets killed because it's Disney. So you get challenged and you get banished.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love going back to the art that all the artists are highlighted on each card, which is very cool.
They are, yeah, and they have done such a good job at getting artists from all over the world, and a really great diverse group of artists. And the style of art is called this modern storybook, so it's taking a twist on the Disney characters that we all know and love, so that they're completely recognizable, but done in this new imaginative, reimagining way, which is really great.
And then difference of cards. You got the regular cards, you got foil cards, you got the enchanted cards.
Yeah. The foil cards are beautiful. They look so good. And then the enchanted cards, if you don't know, so they took 12 cards. There's 204 cards in the whole set, and each version of the card has a regular and a foil version. But then they took 12 cards and did an alternate art and a halo effect. It's like this rainbow. I wish I had one to show you, but they're so scarce. I think you have something like a 1% chance of getting one in a booster pack, so.
And as far as between the regular, the foil, and enchanted, the gameplay is the same for all the cards.
The same.
It's just the value of collecting.
Yeah, so if you're a collector, then, the foil cards are worth a little more, and then the enchanted ones are whoosh, off the charts.
So people probably wouldn't play with their enchanted cards.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah. There are some people, we've actually had some people play with their enchanted cards in our league. I think they got a hard time. But it's the cards are so scarce, though, and if it's a good card,
right.
You want to put it in your deck and play it.
I would take a picture of it and put that in a sleeve. Be like, I actually own this card.
Yes,
I'm not bringing it out here, but I would like to play it because it's a good card.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the foils in my deck, and I wasn't sure. I don't want to go down that road of starting to look at what everything's worth. Because obviously, if there's something crazy, I would like to know. But at the same time, I am here to learn to play the game. I'm here to play. It's like the old Saturday Night Live sketch about the Star Wars toys.
Oh, yeah.
The grown men, they like to keep them in the box, and the kids are just wanting to play.
Yeah. You're like, I want to play.
I want to play.
I want to play.
I don't want to keep them in the box.
Then you got the ones I buy 3 of them. One to keep in the box, one to open, and another one just because.
Just in case.
Just in case.
And then, with it being a trading card game, sometimes I got confused with you get multiple copies of certain cards. But you can play up to certain amounts of that card. So
in your deck.
How does the trading come in?
Yeah, so when you build your deck, it has to be at least 60 cards, and you can have up to 4 copies of a card in your deck. No more. But you can have less, so you can have 1 copy of a card. But there's a lot of trading, actually, that goes on with the game to, get cards that you don't have, and people kind of go off of market prices, so, hey, I have some extra of this, or I'm not using this in my deck, so I'm willing to give it up. Would you trade? Because I'm looking for this card that will really help me out with my deck. So that can be a lot of fun. Like the leagues, I think the one I go to, and probably a lot of the other ones before or after play, there's a lot of trades that go on, or online. People are trading and all that. So,
I'd like to do this on the show. I've done it multiple times, but I've traded my extra Brave Little Tailor Mickey with a new friend, Cammie, which found out was in your league, and very awesome. Her and her boyfriend does like spreadsheets, breaks down everything, and I feel bad that I forget his name. But John, thank you. But definitely plan to go out and play in your guys' league, or if anything, hang out. But the one card got me a huge set. So
looks
that's
like you
great.
might have a
You
set.
got quite a lot. You got an
One of
Illumineer's
everything.
Trove.
Yeah.
Which is the coveted Illumineer's Trove.
They got
which is nice.
some extras there. So.
Oh, nice.
all
Look
for
at that.
one
I know
card.
people can't see, but like
Yes.
this is amazing. That's
I mean,
awesome.
I'm betting if that's 60, you probably got like 300 or 400 cards here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
For
then
all for one.
you got
You can
your
for
starter
sure-
deck in
And
there
then my
too.
starter.
And your starter deck. You can for sure build, a
Yeah.
solid deck to play with. Yeah.
So I got to learn that. So
You said it was at least 60 cards. Is there a cap to
there's
how many cards?
not, but you don't really want to go more than 60 because, of course, that just lowers the odds of you pulling the cards that you want to play, right? So I think most people try to stick as close to 60 as they can. But if you go over, like a few, some people might argue at that and say, no, 60, no more. But yeah, because you can have up to 4 cards. Like if you have a card in there that's only 2 or 3 or sometimes even just 1, you want to increase the chance of you pulling that card during the game. So if your deck is over 60, then you might not see it during play.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I was trying to think of how it would be advantageous. Like, say you've got your 60 starter deck and then you got 12 cards, 4 each of 3 different, what I guess would be considered a high-powered card.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm just going off of things I've seen through the different Lorcana groups.
now you're doing what he did.
And I know, it's just spitting it out. And some videos of gameplay I watched online. But it seems that, just because cards got a higher number doesn't mean that it's going to banish everything. You can be taken out by lower cards.
Yep.
So stacking your deck with... and in a second, I'll ask you to kind of maybe try and... Do you have that card handy? Just diagram out, because I'm going based on that number in the upper left-hand corner of the card. So I'm going to try and, along with Rebekah,
we'll talk through the
audio
card.
diagram this for you guys. So we're looking at the Lorcana card, and in the upper left-hand corner, there's a big number with a real cool circle-y design around it.
So that's the cost of the card. So for every card that you play in the game, it costs ink, magical ink. So you have an inkwell that you add cards to. You can add to your inkwell each turn. So you have to pay 8 ink, for example, to get this one out.
So is the 8 ink, is each individual card in ink, or this card would be 8 ink?
No. So this is the cost. So every turn you're going to add 1 card to your inkwell, and so you'll have some cards that are upside down in front of you, and then you would turn them sideways. Exert them is what it's called in the game.
Right.
To pay. So if you had 8 ink out, you would have to use all 8 ink to pay this card. But if you had a card that was only 2 cost up here, then you could use 2 of your ink to play that, and then also play another 4 cost card on your same turn. So that's the cost to get the card into play.
And so, as I was saying, something I thought that might be more valuable and more powerful is almost a hindrance, because you need to have more of the ink to even be able to use it.
Yeah. So most people, when they're building decks, will look at creating what's called a cost curve. So that way you have in your 60 card deck that you have a good spread across the cost. So you have a few 1 cost characters and actions, 2 cost, 3 cost, and up it goes. That way, at each turn of the game, since you can only ink 1 each turn, that you always have a chance of being able to play something on your turn of play.
And before I come down to these next numbers, I know when I was in line, I was kind of just chatting up the people when I was in line at the shoutout A1 Comics, where I was able to secure my starter deck. And you kind of hear the people whispering the what is it? The purple and gold is better, or the
different ink
silver
colors.
and blue, saying which decks are better.
Yeah.
And this is at a point where no one's even really opened one at
They
that
haven't even
point.
played.
But I guess to your experience, the decks that Disney came out with, are they pretty well balanced? They're good decks to kind of come with?
So I'll say 2 things. One, they're ready to play. You can play them for sure. If you go to a league where people have built out these really competitive decks, a starter deck may not hold up well against a really competitive deck, but it'll play. And if you have somebody else with a starter deck or who doesn't have like a card, some of these cards like the Enchanted and Legendary cards out there that all cost $50-$60. If you have a deck that overall is like $500, it's not going to stand up to your $40 deck or whatever is not going to stand up. But they're ready to go. And all the ink, so there's 6 ink colors, and they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. And so finding a combination that you like, it's like any combination. Well, I shouldn't say any. Maybe some combinations are better than others in some ways, but they all kind of have their strengths and weaknesses. And then there's also just like your personality and how you like to play and what kind of cards you like to do.
And strategies.
All of that. So.
And the colors of the ink, they kind of correspond with like the background here behind where like the character name or action or whatever it is.
So there's like a banner across the middle of every card. So you have ruby, emerald, sapphire, steel, amber, and amethyst. And so they're all like gem colored. They're all gems except for steel. I don't know why they didn't.
Random.
It could have been platinum, right?
It could have. Yeah.
Platinum's not it. Platinum's
that's a metal too. Yeah.
There's really
diamonds, I guess, but that one more white.
Color.
I don't know. Yeah.
So right on that same colored band, on the right side of the card, there are 2 numbers. One is another kind of curl, circular,
these,
spiky,
icons.
And then the other one looks more like a shield. On this particular Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor, it is a 5 and a 5. What are we looking at there?
So this is the strength and willpower of your character. So the strength, which is the first number, that's going to be how much damage that character is going to do to another character in a challenge. And then the willpower is how much damage a character can take from the other characters. So if you have a 5/5 going up against a 6/8, let's say, you're going to do 5 damage to them. So then they only have 3 left now. But they did 6 damage to you, and so Mickey would be banished, because it beat that 5 willpower. So when you're thinking about challenging in gameplay, that's kind of what you're thinking of too when you're choosing which characters to have in your deck. Across the spectrum of cost is also looking at that strength and willpower and which characters you're going to be able to challenge with out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And earlier when you were talking about the game, you mentioned there are characters, there are actions, and there are items.
Yes.
So we're looking at a character.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and read what it says on Mickey Brave Little Tailor. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character.
Yeah.
And then what it says below, I kind of read it as just a quote. Do those things have to do with the game, or are those just...
Well, they have to do with the story, usually, of Lorcana, so it's like the flavor text is what they call it.
Okay.
And so it's usually like maybe a quote from the movie, or sometimes it's just like a descriptive text with the character that kind of ties into the unknown as of yet story of the world of Lorcana. So those flavor texts can be a lot of fun.
Yes, with this particular one, it says, when defeat looms and victory hangs by a thread, a hero bolts to the rescue. Sorry, we've got a cool autograph card here, so I can't read the whole thing.
Sorry about that.
Pulling things up through sheer determination.
Yeah.
And then on the right side, I'm noticing those are the little shape that came in my starter deck with the, I believe it was
the little
lore
counter. The lore counter,
yeah.
yep. So every character, well, I shouldn't say every, most characters on the bottom right, they have these little lore symbols, and each character can quest on your turn for those 20 lore that you need to win. So Mickey Brave Little Tailor, he can quest for 4, which is actually one of the most in the game.
I was going to say, it looks like the most they can fit on there.
Yes, indeed. So a lot of, and then the amount of lore that a character can quest for is going to, not always, but it's going to, for the most part, ramp up over the larger cost characters are going to be bigger, strength and willpower, and also be able to quest for more than your, so a 1 cost character is going to usually be like a 1/1 or a 2/2, and they can only quest for 1 on your turn, but those bigger characters are going to be stronger and also be able to quest for more. Yeah.
And then Joe pulled out a couple of the items and actions. I love this action card. He's got a sword. We're looking at Abu.
You idiots! We've all got swords.
Yes.
Yeah, and he looks like Last Action Hero right there, and nobody's going to step to him. So that this is the
cost.
The cost is 1 in this one, and it is an action card. It says chosen character gets +2 strength.
Yep.
This turn. And then, as Joe just said, the quote, "We've all got swords," said Razul in the movie Aladdin.
So actions are really fun because you play it once and then it gets discarded, whereas characters, stay out until they get banished. Actions, though, they can come in and they can sometimes give your characters, extra strength or more willpower. Sometimes it can do damage to your opponent. Like, there's all kinds of actions that you can play in the game. And then there's also songs that the characters can sing as well. Here, I pulled one out. So
I have a couple songs in my deck, and I was really excited, hoping that means, do you get to sing?
Do you also get to? I mean, I do. So a song card it's an action as well, but instead of paying the ink cost with the ink from your inkwell, you could instead have a character that's already out in play use the character to sing the song for free. So that can also be really advantageous in play because then you still have your ink left to do something else, play another character or do another action. So there's regular actions and then song actions. There's some really great ones out there.
And so, for example, like what would this action...
So this is Mother Knows Best, which is from Tangled. This one returns a chosen character to their player's hand.
Oh, okay.
So I love Emerald. That's one of my favorite colors to play. And that's called a bounce, where they put out a character that you don't like, and you can say, well, you have to put that character now back in your hand.
No,
Sorry.
Nice.
And by hand, is that like back in the deck?
No, back in there. So you have your hand.
You have your hand.
Yep.
You have your inkwell.
You have the characters and items in play, and then you have your deck and your discard.
Okay.
Yeah. And then items are, they function similar actions do, where it gives you like a special ability to do, except that items stay in play until they get banished maybe by your opponent. But whereas an action you just play once and they get discarded, items will stay out on the board and you can use them every turn. So, but those are the 3 types of cards in the game. So if you can, learn your characters, actions, and items, and then, of course, your songs, like the other actions. That's all there is in the game. It's those 3 cards.
Oh, wow.
And you were talking about the curve before. How would one want to balance their deck with actions, items, and characters?
Great question. So I would recommend about 2/3 at least of characters. Actions and items, you can have more characters and less action and items if you want, because you really want to have actions that fit with the rest of your deck and the strategy. But 2/3 characters at least, I would say. Mix of actions and items, up to you. The other important thing to know with cards is that ink cost, that I talked about.
Right.
So the way that you get ink is you have to take a card from your hand and add it to your inkwell once a turn. Once it's there, it stays there. But you can only use the cards that have this fancy symbol, the ones that look like this, where it's just a plain hexagon. Those are called uninkable cards, and you can't turn those into ink when you play.
And turning a card into ink
Yeah.
means that it cannot be played in the game again?
Correct. It is in your inkwell, and it stays there for the rest of play.
Are there ever like actions where it says that you can bring something back from your inkwell?
No, that is so. There are cards where you can bring things back from your discard pile, but once something goes into your inkwell, it's gone forever. And there are cards in the game that send chosen character to the player's inkwell, and then it's gone. You can't get it back.
So I'm just looking at the brave little Tailor Mickey, and I'm like, I would assume you have that in your hand. You're not going to put that in your inkwell.
Well,
so is there a
depends.
strategy of which cards you select to put in your inkwell?
There is, and every game is going to be different, and every turn is going to be different. Because if you're on turn 2 and you only have 2 ink now, and you have a card that costs 8 in your hand, is it better to hold on to it until you have 8 ink, but then it's taking up space in your hand, or is it better to just ink that now and hope that you draw it again later, So
if you ink it, you can still draw it again later?
I mean, if you had multiple,
another one in the
if you
deck.
have multiple copies, If you have a
So your
killer
hope is that
card,
you're not drawing the big stuff at the beginning.
Yes.
That stuff that's going to come to you later on when you've kind of...
which is why it's great to have multiple copies of a card in your deck, because then it's like guaranteed that, almost guaranteed, I shouldn't say that, but then it's more likely that you'll see that card pop up again as you play.
And one of the things I think I either read or watched is at the beginning of a game, you do, I don't know if this is just kind of a nicety between, but you are allowed to, once you draw, you can redraw cards.
Mulligan.
There we go.
Yeah, which is actually, I have found to be one of the key strategies to playing Lorcana, is knowing what to mulligan at the beginning. So you can discard up to, you draw 7 to start the game, and you can discard your whole hand if you wanted, and then you redraw back up to 7, and then mix the rest of your cards back in your deck. But knowing what, you don't want to start out the game with a bunch of uninkable cards. You don't want to start out the game with a bunch of high cost cards. You really, when you do the mulligan, want to set yourself up for the first 3 turns of the game. So make sure you have a 1 cost character, a 2 cost character in your hand to start the game as much as possible is the best way to do the mulligan. So if you have anything that's above 4 ink, probably, unless it's a really good card, or that you only have 1 in your deck and you want to make sure you have it for the game, it's mulligan everything else and redraw.
And is your hand, is this something that your opponent can see?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
That's where the sleeves come in, I think.
Yeah. So, if you're playing in a tournament, I think they require, sleeves that have a matte background or a background so you can't see the cards.
Even though the backs of the cards are all the same?
Even though they're the same, because technically, I guess, I read, I don't do competitive play, but if your card is nicked or scratched or creased or whatever, then you might know what that card is.
Which this is where Disney is Disney, and they have special Lorcana sleeves.
Yeah,
yes, they do.
I got the Captain Hook.
The beast, that gargoyle-looking beast one.
Yeah.
I know I've already earmarked the Wizard Pooh play
Honey
mat.
Wizard.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone's so excited for Honey Wizard.
And real quick too, if you lose or get banished or whatever, you lose your match. You don't lose your cards, do you?
Oh no.
Okay. Because at first I'm like, is that why you get doubles of certain cards because you lose them, or
no?
But
I mean, unless you make a bet beforehand, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
How scarce product is.
and one thing real quick too that I'd like to kind of get to with the game, and also plug your page on how cool of a page it is. I'm sure some of our listeners were like, what?
I know.
on some of the terminology. Yeah. And so I want to kind of go back to your page where you do a great job of not just showing, hey, look what's coming out, what just got introduced, but terminology, certain terms and phrases that, what people that are playing are just throwing out. I'm a football coach, so we're throwing out plays and
that jargon and lingo.
And I know with this is the same thing. So, I mean, what kind of gave you the idea to do
do that?
How to do your page? Because you're very different than other Lorcana pages, which I appreciate. It's seriously the best one that I know. I've been paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with many. Before you get into it, the one that caught my eye, or kind of got me excited to know what all this means, is you started doing a series of kind of traits of how different ink players play. I think it was the Sapphire or something, and you were doing different facial movements and just kind of how they would act during gameplay. And I'm I can't wait to find what these all mean, so that makes sense to me a little bit.
Yeah, the reels are great.
Thank you. I have so much fun doing them, and like I said earlier, I see so many people playing Lorcana that are brand new to a trading card game, and then I see tons of people out there using all the lingo and the jargon, and when you do that too much, it's not as welcoming to new people, and because then they feel lost, they're afraid to ask or whatever. So I was like, hey, I know tons of people that don't know what these words are that are being thrown around. So let's just break it down so that you don't feel lost. And when you hear them, that you know. And not everyone is going to be a TCG, expert or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't want anyone to feel lost. I want people to feel comfortable, know what they're hearing and reading, and be able to feel confident to learn how to play the game.
What does TCG mean?
Oh, yes, TCG. Yes.
I see it all over the internet. I think I just
TCG.
assumed it was like table card game.
Trading card game.
So
Trading card games. Yeah.
So you don't have to play on a table, everybody.
TCG. You also might hear CCG, which is a collectible
See, and I
card
would have said
game.
competitive card game.
Right, collectible card game. So TCG. Yeah, so it's just like all those words. And like I said, I used to play Magic a little bit, so I'm familiar with some of that terminology. But there's a lot more even than when I used to play. And so for me, it was like, oh, I'm kind of like in this like middle space where I'm not like super uber competitive, like fully immersed in the TCG world, so I can kind of like speak non-TCG,
Yeah.
I can speak TCG to non-TCG people, hopefully.
And that kind of goes to my next question is like gameplay. How comparable is it to like Magic or other card games, like enjoyable wise?
Oh yeah, I actually, and all the Magic players out there are going to be like, no, I enjoy Lorcana more than Magic, but I think that one of the reasons for that is because it's Disney.
Yeah.
All the characters are so familiar to us. We get to play songs like Mother Knows Best or Be Prepared, which banishes all characters on the table. And that card is crazy. Even your own.
Yeah.
All the characters. So all your face.
Can't be prepared for that.
You cannot be prepared. So just having it be these familiar characters and songs and things, to me, makes it fun. But also just the strategy of the game, I think is really, it's different from Magic, but very comparable. So I think that people who play these other trading card games are having just as much enjoyment playing Lorcana as new players are, So.
Yeah. Would you say if you were a Magic player and just walked in, sat down in front of some Lorcana cards, you would be able to play
I would
easily?
guess so, yeah. I think there's a lot of people that are doing just that, and that's what you're seeing with a lot of the competitive play is the people who do Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or all these other Flesh and Blood, Hearthstone.
So the rest of
there's
us,
so
we're,
many.
We're starting from behind, but
yeah.
give us a little time to
give
train,
us time.
and we will come up.
There's only 204 cards out right now. We're gonna catch up. Yes.
I know the thing that got me into it a little bit. Well, not just Lorcana, but just the whole like Disney card games was the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom that they had in Florida, which is very similar. You collected cards of different characters, and they all had their attributes and everything.
Yeah.
But instead of playing, like on the table and everything, you shined them on a screen, and there's little animated stuff.
Fun.
I have a video on YouTube if you guys check it out at DUTV.
There you go.
But I mean, just being a Disney fan, the loving the art and the characters, these are we've said already, are just beautiful. And I can see people just collecting them for the art itself. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of people collecting them. I've also seen. You have a signed card here. I've seen people taking cards into the parks and getting them signed by the characters.
Yeah, I just realized I have a Sergeant Tibbs card, and the voice of Sergeant Tibbs is going to be at MouseCon.
Yeah,
do it.
So that would be a cool one to get signed.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea. I know. I've seen people in the groups like, "Are you kidding? The value and those are sort of fines." Like, let people fan how they want to fan.
How they want to fan,
and that's a great way. And the way you could display them, like in a frame or something when you get home, I think it's amazing. But yeah, I know I can't wait to dive deep into this. I know Alex can't. So.
I can't wait. I want to get a game going for sure. I've already said I know there's a local in my neighborhood. I'm looking forward to checking out. I'm even hopefully once I've actually played and even dare I say won a game at some point, organizing a game night here at Burning Barrel. We were just talking about how the tables here might be pretty nicely conducive to tabletop gaming or sorry, what do we say it stood for?
Trading card
gaming.
Yes.
Here at the tap room. But,
you'll enjoy it when you start jumping in. The best way to learn too is just start playing. So.
Yeah.
And you'll get to know the 6 different inks. They all have their own little personalities. you saw in my reels and stuff. And so you'll get to know like the inks and which ones you enjoy playing with, which is fun too.
And then, so in the starter deck,
yes,
it comes with the damage counters.
Yeah,
those little coins.
The lore
and then
counter.
The lore counter. The lore counter is the same as if you have the Lorcana app.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lore counter in there.
Yes.
So if I have that, I don't need the other one.
Yep.
But you still need the damage counters, right?
You do need damage counters.
I know some people use a die for that.
Like a six-sided die is great. It's just so that when you're doing the challenges between characters, you can keep track of that damage. Yeah. So if you're able to get your hands on a starter deck pack, that comes with everything you need. Lore counter, damage counter, and your deck. But that's all you need to get started playing.
I'm looking forward to it. I know Rise of the Floodborn has Tiana on the cover of one
It
of them. So I'll
does.
be
It's got
looking
some great...
for one of those decks as well.
Tiana.
But I'm more so now excited now that I know, about the different inks and about how a deck can only have 2 inks, is trying to build a deck. And I think even, because I do have a few other booster packs I open, I might see if I have enough to try and build a deck between those, and if not, heading over to the local store selling singles. And just trying to pick some stuff to fill in the gaps, and then just see what a deck I built on my own without even having played a game looks like and how it acts.
Yeah.
Especially given the knowledge I've gotten here now from you. Yeah. Because it would have looked a lot different if I did it yesterday.
And I got one more question, and
right.
I think you even brought it up in a reel or something, but obviously there's the official game rules and everything.
Yeah.
But it seems like certain players are trying to even customize certain gameplays as, nothing but princess cards or nothing but Aladdin cards how's the possibility of customizing your own game?
It totally has the potential for that right now, because there's only so many cards out. It would be a little harder. But I think as we see more cards coming out, you could build a whole deck that was all one movie franchise, or create a villain deck. And we're already seeing
Renaissance or sidekicks.
Or sidekicks.
Yeah.
And we already see some of the cards that play on some of those words, so like villains. There's cards where it says this applies to all villain cards, So Ravensburger has plans for that, to build out the game in such a way where people can create some themed decks, I think, going forward. So I think we'll see a lot more of that as the game goes on. That's
cool.
It's going to be fun. The princess deck would be one that I would enjoy building, because there's some great princess cards.
Yeah.
There's a Cinderella Knight coming in Rise of the Floodborn.
I saw
Have
that.
you seen that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She looks good. And the Belle Archer, that's the one that everyone's real excited about. So, yeah, there's some good cards.
Yeah, I can't wait. So,
yeah,
I'm excited. We got our say here. So, maybe we might have a little, be able to do a little behind the scenes, a quick round.
At some point, we're probably going to do a quick run. We realize it's probably going to be hard to translate that for audio for you all. But of course, now that we've had Rebekah here with us, at some point we'll figure out how to get our cameras together, and maybe we'll be able to get a gameplay video up on the Disney Universe YouTube channel. So, of course, be subscribed and stay tuned. Look out for that. YouTube.com/@TheDUTV. Thank you very much, Rebekah, for joining us.
It's so fun.
And like I like to have guests, especially that you're local. We're all friends now, and you always have an open door anytime you want to come on.
Thank you so much.
And, I think you'll probably see me down at your league, and your kids will be teaching me how to play.
I know, yeah. My son, he's 14, and he loves it.
Nice.
Loves it. Yeah.
Now, am I correct? I believe I was reading one of your posts that your husband played you once.
And he officially retired?
Retired at 1-0?
He did. So I'm like, come on, you got to play at least one game with me. And so I gave him my deck. And he used it well. He won the one game, and then he retired.
Undefeated.
Perfect record.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we can talk him out of retirement at some point. When we get a game night together.
Yes.
Well, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For everybody listening, make sure you get out there on Instagram. Follow Lorcana Illuminary.
That's it.
And Twitter now.
I am,
X.
yes, X, I know. The site formerly known as Twitter. Yes, it's at The Illuminary on Twitter and Lorcana.Illuminary.
The Illuminary on Twitter, no Lorcana?
No Lorcana, because it was too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to short it. It's just The Illuminary.
So The Illuminary on Twitter and Lorcana.Illuminary on Instagram. Go give a follow.
Thank you.
Awesome, funny reels and
knowledgeable
information. Welcoming information as far as how to learn the game of Lorcana and become part of this community, because we're all in it now and we want you to join us. So please go give her a follow and check that out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, absolutely. And I hope you guys really enjoyed that conversation. And Rebekah, check out it, like Alex said, check out our site. We're in crunch time, almost holidays, so very soon, all of us, well, not all of us, but myself, Alex, most of the crew at Walt's apartment, we will be having a table at this year's MouseCon in Concord. We got some stuff planned before, a family museum visit Saturday morning, a brewery visit Saturday evening, with some Disney karaoke. Do you want to throw some of that details now or later?
Yeah, no, that's all going down. I want y'all to be there. We're going to be at Epidemic Ales in Concord the night before MouseCon, so that is Saturday, November 4th. They regularly have karaoke on Saturday night, but I kind of approached them saying that this awesome event is going on Sunday, and we wanted to have something where us Disney adults can gather the night before and kind of say hi, get to know each other, throw back a couple adult beverages, and belt out our favorite Disney tunes. So we are not taking it over entirely as Disney karaoke, but we are inviting everybody who wishes to participate in Disney karaoke, and us as the Disney Universe podcast will have prizes for those who choose to participate and sing Disney songs as karaoke, as well as we'll have some other awesome giveaways and maybe even some stuff if you can show that you will be attending the convention the next day. So please, of course, as always, be following us on all our socials, as well as our friends at Walt's Apartment, Neverland Clubhouse, Disney Guy.
We're in the Park.
We're in the Park. They're all going to be out there at MouseCon, and hopefully they'll be with us at the brewery as well. We're not sure on all that, but you got me, you got Joe, and you got a microphone. So what else? And you got beer. So
yeah.
There's not much else you need.
If only you could bring Rebekah and do a Lorcana tournament.
I think she's already said she's ready to sing. So.
Hey.
But I don't want to give away what I'm singing, and obviously I don't want to take it away from you. But yeah, just come with whatever. We're going to make sure that we are preset and downloaded with a great selection of Disney songs for that night. So just come out, even if you just want to watch, if you want to say hey, if you've been listening, or if you are, I don't know, if you're listening to this, you've probably been listening, so you're not just a buddy off the street. But I will be looking for buddies off the street. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a new Illuminary out there in Concord, and we'll bring them to League Night in the future. So that's all going down Saturday, November 4th. And then, of course, MouseCon is Sunday, November 5th in Concord. It's from 10 to 5. It's only $10 to enter. I believe kids under 10 or so are free.
Yeah, 12.
Last year's MouseCon was my first of any sort of convention ever, and I thought it was a good gateway convention. It wasn't like showing up at D23 or Star Wars Celebration and just having my mind blown by the scope of the whole thing.
I've seen it.
Not to say that this is puny or small. I went to an awesome panel with Jeff Bam, who is kind of the foremost historian of all things Haunted Mansion. So he gave a lot of great info about Mark Davis and his involvement with that. There is a great sort of vendor area, which we were kind of positioned in between. And of course, bring your lawn mowing money, bring whatever spare change you got, because you're going to find a lot of great things you may have thought you'd never see again. I saw one of the vendors there picked up a pair of the R2-D2 mouse ears that at least weren't being sold in the parks for a long time. They are now back. Shout out my good friend Erin, who gave me one of her 3 pairs of those R2-D2 ears. And then, of course, there are going to be some great Disney voice celebrities. Apologize for not knowing their actor and actress names, but the characters that will be represented, I believe Sergeant Tibbs, the voice of Sergeant Tibbs is going to be there. The voice of Andy from Toy Story is going to be there. The voice of Boo from Monsters, Inc.
Mary Gibbs.
The voice of young Nala, who I'm sure is forever bombarded with people coming up to her saying, "Say, Pinja again." And I'm not saying I won't be one of those people on the 5th. There we go. Thank you very much. So we got Nikita Kalame Harris, that is the voice of young Nala. Tony Anselmo, Disney legend, is the voice of Donald Duck. We've got, I believe she's not going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Eden Gross is the voice of Flounder from Little Mermaid. We've got Lorna Cook, who's an animator. Amy O'Neill, who was Amy Zielinski in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Early crush growing up.
Dan Molina is from Chicken Little. Looks like is he the fish? The fish out of water?
And yeah, I think so.
Mimi Gibson, voice of Lucky from 101 Dalmatians. We've got Boo from Monsters, Inc., Mary Gibbs. Rick Law, who's another Disney artist. David Frankham is that voice of Sergeant Tibbs. I'll be looking for him to sign my Lorcana card. I said it right?
Yep.
Yes. Lorcana. John Morris, that's the voice of Andy from Toy Stories 1 through 4. Jerry Cornell of Theme Parkology. We got C. Andrew Nelson. He's an actor, writer, producer. He's got a lot of involvement with Star Wars.
Yeah, he's the actor that's been suited up as Darth Vader the longest.
Okay.
And they're all a part of the Adventures Ideas audio story thing.
Disney Universe and Walt's Apartment podcast, right there on the page. Josh Schaefer, our friend, the Disney guy, he will be there. And yeah, of course, you could be there as well. So go to, I believe it's mousecon.com.
Yes.
For all that information, tickets, if you need to get a hotel overnight, Lord knows we will be, because we're going to be enjoying those beers over at Epidemic Ales. And come see us November 5th in Concord. It's going to be a blast. Come early, November 4th. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out. Come be with like-minded Disney fans and spend your hard-earned money on things we don't need. I said there was someone selling like old Disney postcards and old park maps. I love collecting park maps, so it was fun.
There's going to be
those.
I know there's going to be Lorcana
our friend
cards.
Matt Robinson Tattoo is going to be back there. Our friends Where in the Park, as we first met them last year at MouseCon, they make great self-guided scavenger hunts through all the Disney as well as many other parks around the country. Universal, Knott's, I believe SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are in Florida.
Yeah, and even Enchanted Forest in Oregon.
I think Enchanted Forest in Oregon. Might have to put a trip together with that. Go visit our friends up there. So yes, that's my big long-winded MouseCon pitch. I hope we see you all there. And I hope you come out to Epidemic Ales and sing us a little Disney tune, and we're going to have a cool treat for you.
Absolutely. And then before we do our clip show, we will be having the good fellows from Discovered the Magic podcast joining us next show. That's our good buddy Jason from Interactive Realm and his podcast buddy. So look for that very soon. But once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for Rebekah for joining us, taking time on a Sunday and on location here. As we got Pitbull playing in the background.
Yeah, I got one more in me before last call. And last call, of course, to the DU crew. It wouldn't be us without you, so I got to shout you out one more time. Going from the bottom to the top this time. Our good buddy Alfredo, Tyler, Sean, Wedge Antilles, John, Sasquatch, Jen, and Monique. Also would love to give a big shout out to Monique. Just recently got married this week. So big shout out to you.
Congratulations.
And your partner. Hope to visit you guys and have some more fun in the parks again soon. All the best wishes from your friends here at the Disney Universe podcast.
Absolutely. So you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next time. So we'll end this difference, and Ryan's not here unless you want to do it the same way. Who knows?
Yeah, bring me another beer. Shout out to Winky from what's it called? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, my favorite Disney bartender.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have a good night, and thank you, Burning Barrel, for hosting tonight.
Yes. Draw 2.